much for joining us today. I have Andreas with me, and we're going to be talking about fostering an AI mindset. But before I dive into the questions that I've got for you, can you give everybody an introduction?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Emma. I'm really excited. Hi, everyone. My name is Andreas, and I help SAP's customers achieve better business outcomes by optimizing their business processes with the help of AI and automation. And over the last 6 years, I've been in this space. I spent about half of that time working with customers, helping them where and how they can use AI already today, what they can do with automation, and spent about the other half of that time working with our own development teams at SAP, bringing more innovation into our core products and into the hands of our customers. And for about the last year or so, I've been sharing more of my experience on LinkedIn through something that I call the Intelligence Briefing, where I share information daily on how to set up your AI center of excellence, what to look out for, what others have done extremely well, and maybe what some of the things are that you shouldn't repeat. And one of the things that goes very well along with that is really the need for the AI mindset. So I'm really glad and excited to have the opportunity to have this conversation with you, Emma, and also with the audience today.
Well, thank you so much for joining me again. And I've got to say, I have a little envy of your backdrop with the AI sign and your sweet lamp. And also, for anybody that hasn't already watched that series, highly encourage it, and also a little jealous of your editing skills, but we've talked about that before. So we can get back to the topic at hand and start with just like what I like to say is that level setting question to make sure we're all on the same page. So can you share your definition of what an AI mindset is and what that would mean for an organization?
Sure. You see, when I talk to leaders, when I talk to practitioners in the industry, I see that for many companies, actually that AI thing is still rather new or rather foreign. So they struggle to figure out where and how to start. And I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that they approach it as just any other IT project. And it's not. It's so much more. To me, that's the number one thing to know. It's not like any other IT project. And so shaping that AI mindset helps them raise awareness, all the nuances of where and how it's different, and really make your people more aware of all the things that surround it, because it's not just data. It's not just how do I get good results or better results or all the technicalities of it, but it's also where do I get the data from? What am I allowed to do with it? How do I find and discover good use cases? What should I even pursue? And most of all, raise that awareness and get it into people's heads that, hey, there is AI. It's a new opportunity. It can help us create new business models. It can help us drive more automation. But really put that kind of thinking front and center, as opposed to treating it like a cherry on top or something that we get to when we get to. Because in the end, 9 times out of 10, we really don't get to it. And that's really a shame if we just keep delaying. So shaping that awareness, what is AI? Why do we need it? That's what it's all about for me when I talk about AI mindset.
So you mentioned this idea of maybe how an AI project, and you kind of got into a little bit of it there, but I want to dive in a little bit more, how it might be different than a typical IT initiative, and why this mindset, this AI mindset, and this shift in perspective is so important. Can you dive a little bit more into that?
I think traditionally, looking at IT projects, they're fairly linear. You have a pretty good understanding of what your end goal is, and you build your project plan, and you figure out your work packages, and you chug along. But AI, in that sense, it's much more like experimentation. There's much more science to it than just the execution. So this part creates quite a bit of uncertainty in the organization, and also as far as the outcomes are concerned. Because maybe once you do get the data and you look at it, you see it's actually not that great. It's not complete. There are things missing. Maybe if you go into your first prototypes, you see that you're not actually getting the results you would like to see. So you go back to the drawing board. There's a lot of iteration happening in this process. which for some can be rather uncomfortable or rather scary, because it's not really that straight shot in many cases, especially if you build AI models and things on your own, and for custom scenarios where it's not embedded in things that a vendor might ship.
Wonderful. And so my last question for you is probably going to be what everyone's like wondering themselves as we're having this conversation. What tips or suggestions do you have for organizations to cultivate this AI mindset, and how do they begin kind of building these competencies within their organization?
What I've seen from our own experience at SAP is that it's all about community, bringing people together, because you need to have different perspectives on that topic. Like I said, it's not just technology, it's not just data. There's aspects of ethics, there's aspects of data privacy. There's obviously a lot of domain expertise that you need to build something such that it delivers relevant outcomes and has an impact. So bringing people of different walks of life or backgrounds together is number one for me. So there should be some data scientists that understand the technology and the concepts, but at least an equal portion of people on that team should come from finance, from sales, from marketing, wherever you're trying to automate and to improve something, and have them share information, share experience on what they can go after. Because also, people going through these processes on a day-to-day basis, they know where some of the challenges are in that process, where the inefficiencies, where things that you need to do a couple more times than they would actually like to. What could we do if we had better access to data, if we got better insights? What would allow us to do that? So all of that is for me part of this AI mindset, shaping this awareness, and really listen to the people going through that process on a daily basis, because they are an excellent source for the information what should be looking after.
Thank you so much for joining me and having the discussion and sharing your insights on this. I'm a big fan of whether it's the AI mindset or understanding the art of the possible in this education journey within organizations. And for anybody that isn't already, make sure that you're following him on LinkedIn. There's tons of valuable content that he's sharing, as well as a new live stream series that's starting as well. So keep your eyes out for that. And of course, let either of us know if you've got any questions. But thank you so much for your time. And thank you everybody for joining us, and have a wonderful day. If you're looking for expert tips on how to get started with your transformation, or looking to hone in on your approach, make sure that you subscribe to our channel to catch our weekly Digital Transformation Talk series, where we interview experts from around the world on how to make it happen.